Now let's start with the important concept that we're going to use in collection, that is array list, right? So if you talk about array list, basically it comes inside a list interface. This is not lists. This is there's a typo error. This is basically a list. List is an interface, and array list is a class. So we need to create an object of array list class whenever we are working on a list. So let's say I create a new class. I'll name it as array list example, right? And check the main method. So over here I'll be doing it like array list equal to new array list. You cannot create an object of list because that is an interface. Right, and then you need to import it, and this will be imported through Java util internal library itself. An array list is basically a class, right? So here we need not to define any class, like any size, any length, right? At times when you are creating an array, you need to define the length of an array, but here you need not to do that thing. Now, if you simply gonna print this list like this, it won't show you anything. It will show you a blank list like this. It's an empty list. If you want to check the size of the list, then you need to call one of the method that says list dot size. So if you run it at this moment, it will gonna print 0, right? Because there are no elements inside the list. So it means in collections, by default, the size will remain 0. And as soon as you keep on adding items or elements to the collection, the size will gonna increment. So if you add 5 values, it will gonna show you the size as 5. If you're gonna add 10 values, it will gonna show you the size as 10. Now let's try to add some values to this array list. So the very first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call the method list dot add. Now this method remains same for any type of class that you're gonna use, array list, vector, or linked list, right? And when you're adding the values, let's say the very first value I'm gonna add is, let's say, 10, a numeric value. Now, in which format the value will be stored? The value will be converted into the object of it is actually going to convert it into an object. It is not going to store it as a primitive value, just 10. The number 10 will not be stored. It will actually be converted into an object, right? If you look at the add method, you can see this is being converted into an object. This actually accepts an object over here. It is not accepting any primitive data type over here. So that is what auto boxing is, which is actually happening over here. Now again, if I refer to an object over here, what is an object? This object is basically a class in Java. This is a super class in Java, right? We call it as mother of all classes. Any class that you're gonna create in Java will gonna extend this object class. Whether you're gonna explicitly create or whether there is an internal Java class in the Java library. So all the classes we're gonna have the parent class as an object class over here. So object, we are referring to a class over here. Now, why the return type is object over here? This is because the list can store any type of value. So you can add a numeric value over here. You can add a value that is string over here, right? You can store the value as in a string over here, right? So any value can be stored when you are defining a type as an object. Now I can add double value over here. Let's say 10.25. I can add character value over here, right? So I can use any data type over here to add values inside a list. Now, how this is possible? Again, with the help of this object class, because uh, the parameter add, it accepts object class, and on the runtime the compiler is actually converting this primitive type into the object of the object. Basically, if we talk about object class is like a super class, as we talk about super class of all internal primitive data types, right? All internal classes like integer and character and boolean, right? So all these classes has the object as a super class. So this is happening with the help of polymorphic reference of a superclass, that is object class. So you can see primitive type is converted into the object of let's say the integer class, and integer class is actually containing the polymorphic reference is of the object class. So it is something like object obj equal to new integer, right? So this numeric value is converted into the integer class object, and then the polymorphic reference that is being used is of the object class. Because let's say if I specifically define the return type of this add method as a string type, then we will only be able to store string values over here. And if I define it of an int type, then we'll only be able to add integer values over here, right? But right now you can see we are able to store values of any type into this list. Now, we have added couple of type of values over here. We can add another value in a form of a boolean as well, right? We can add uh, null value as well, and we can again add a duplicate value as well to the list, right? So in a list we can have duplicate values as well added to the list. So now, if I print this list again, you're going to find how the values are being stored. So the insertion order of a list is preserved, right? This is a case with array list, vector, or linked list. The way that we are storing the values, it will preserve the order in which the values are being stored, right? So this is one of the important thing about list. Second property of a list is you can add null values to the list as well. The third property of a list is you can add duplicate values to a list as well. So these are the three important properties of a list. And now if I again get the size of this list, it will show me the count of the elements stored in a list: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if I run this thing again, you can see that it is showing the size of a list as 7. Now so far we have seen how to add values to a list, and now we're going to see how to fetch the values from a list. So there's a method in order to retrieve values from a list. The method is list.get, and you can see it accepts a numeric value as an index. So index of a list always start from 0. It is like an array only. The array index starts from 0. Same way the list index start from 0. So if I print the if I want to print the very first value, I'm gonna say list.get 0, and this get, if I run this get is actually not returning me a number. That is actually returning me the object value over here, right? This is actually returning me an object, that is 10, because we are storing objects inside a list. So if in case you want to print fourth value, you will be doing list dot get the index as 3, and this will gonna print the fourth value, right? So if there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 values, and if you try to print the index as 7, so at 7th index there won't be any value, and you're going to get an exception, that is index out of bound exception, right? Because you're printing a value where the index never exists. So the last index will be the size minus 1, the size of a list minus 1. So the size of a list is 7, 7 minus 1 will be 6. And now if you want to remove any value from the list, so the method is list dot remove, and the index, let's say I want to remove the 5th index value. Now let's try to print the list and try to print the size of the list as well. You're gonna see the size. Okay, the exception is over here where we were getting the 7th one. The code will gonna break over here. I'll just comment it out. If I run this again, you can see the value that is 5th. The 5th index value was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The null value is gone, right? And the updated list contains 6 values only. So this is how we remove a value from the list. Now let's try to print all the values from the list. There are a couple of approaches over here. The first approach is that do a for loop which starts from the index 0, because list is starting from 0, and it will go up till less than the size of this list, 1 less than the size of the list, and then I plus plus. And then we're gonna print let's say list dot get the index I. So this is one of the way how we can retrieve values from a list. If you run it, so it has actually returned you all these values. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The values are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. There are 7 values inside a list. So it has returned you all these 7 values. No, actually, there are 6 values because we have removed 1 value. This was actually displaying the size of the list, right? So values are coming from here. So it has actually printed 6 values over here. The other way of doing is use a simple for loop, which is also called as for each. And the syntax is something like this, where we have a colon, and at the end we add this list, the list that the variable that we have created over here, right? And then the variable and the type of that variable. So type we are not sure because everything is stored into an object. So we'll be taking the super type over here. So and then we'll be printing this variable. That's it. And if you run this now, this will still gonna print the same list, right? The third way of retrieving values from a list is with the help of one of the method that list provide is an iterator. Now this iterator basically returns you and this is basically an interface. If you go to this iterator, this is basically an interface. So what you need to do, whatever it returns you, just store it into that type. Iterator itr equal to this, and you need to import it through the Java util itself, right? And what you can do over here now, iterator will actually going to iterate over the indexes of that list, right? So let's say if a list is something like this, and it has stored some 4 or 5 values like this, right? So what we have set up is an iterator. So this itr will now going to follow this list. So this will be set up on this list, and what we need to do, we need to make this iterator iterate over the indexes of this list. And how we're going to do it? We're going to run a while loop. Now iterator will not going to come to know how many indexes are there. So we need to call a method itr dot has next. So till the time index exists, iteration has more element, return true if iteration has more element. So till the time the index exists, this will gonna return a boolean value that is true. So first it will go to the first index, right, the zeroth index, and it will check whether the element exists over there or not. If it exists, then it returns true. We'll go inside it and we're gonna print the value inside that index by saying itr dot next. And you can see the next is actually returning the first object on that index, which is at the zeroth index. So till the time this this loop will gonna run till the time the iteration will be true. So till the time it finds the elements on the indexes, it keeps on iterating it, and iterate dot next will actually gonna return the element in that iteration, and the element is in a form of an object. So that is the reason next is showing us the return type as an object. So if I run this thing now, you're gonna see same list is printed again. So these are the three ways through which you can retrieve values from a list. So there is nothing specific that you need to use this for loop or for each or iteration, right? You can use any one of these in which you are comfortable in. Now, the drawback that comes when you declare an array list like this, as in you can see we have stored different type of values inside this list. Now, let me comment out entire thing. Let me comment out the entire code we have written. And what I need to do, I need to fetch the value that is at the first zeroth index, right? So what I'll do, I'll say list dot get 0, right? This will give me the value is 10. Now I want to store this value uh, in some variable. Let's say I'll create a variable over here, and I'll say list dot get 0. So we know that we cannot directly store it into an int, right? Because it is returning as an object, and this will be stored only and only inside an object. Now, what if I want to add these value to number 20? I want to say something like add 20 plus the variable. Is it possible? No, we cannot add a numeric value to an object. We cannot add a primitive value to an object, basically. Right? This is not possible. So the other way is that we need to typecast this value. But in order to do typecast, we need to know whether, let's say, if the list is returning 10 values, then the third value is integer, or whether the eighth value is double, or the ninth value is float, right? We need to know what sort of value that particular index is returning, right? Now, even if like we typecast it, let's say I typecast it into integer. I'll say integer, and then I'll convert this thing into an int. So now we can do it, right? But what if someone changes the again updated the list value to a string at the zeroth index? Then again it will gonna fail, right? At the compile time, we'll again gonna get an error that we cannot convert a string value into integer like this. Then we need to parse it. What if we have different data types? Like we are not sure whether a string value is returned, whether the integer value is returned, whether a float value is returned, a double value is returned. We keep on typecasting it like this. So this is not actually an exact way of using it. So here we're going to use the concept of generics. So generics is introduced in Java 1.6 with the issues that people have faced while using array list prior to 1.6, where we have faced so many typecasting issues, right? We specifically mentioned that the type of this array list to be a specific type with the help of that generics, right? Now, what are generics and how they are used, or what is a generic array list? So let us see with the help of an example. Now, what we can do is I'll create a class called as generic array list, right? And like I'm going to use the polymorphic reference so of an interface. I'll say list equal to new array list. We can write it like this way as well, right? But here we are not defining the type of which the array list will gonna store the values. So in order to define the type, what we need to do, we need to add an angular bracket over here and an angular bracket over here. And this in this angular bracket, we need to define the type of value that will be stored, and that will not be a primitive type, that will be of a class. So if we are storing integer values, we need to give specifically we need to tell that this array list will actually going to store integer values like this, right? We cannot write int over here because collection does not works on primitive data types, it works on classes and objects only, right? So you need to specifically give the class name over here. Now just watch it carefully. If I say list dot add, now you can see the parameter type is changed to integer. Initially it was an object. Now specifically we have defined that the list will going to contain only the integer values. So you can directly add 10 over here. Now if we try to add any other value, let's say 10.25, the compiler will gonna throw an error over here, right? That it can only store the values which are integer, and it's not applicable for the argument that is double. So we cannot store double values now to the list. So actually in Java, we're gonna create array list in this format only to avoid the typecasting issue, right? No matter we have to create a separate array list for string, a separate array list for integer, but we will be doing it in this way only, right? So that in future we may not come across any typecasting issues. But yes, there is one value that can be stored in any type of list, that is a null value, right? So you can say add a value null, because null is not like a type, it's just a value, right? A null value can be added to a string, it can be added to integer, right? You can add null values to any type of data type. Now I'll show you another thing. When I get the values, I'll say list.get. You can see the return type of a get is now being changed to integer, right? Now you can get the value at the 0th index, and you can directly store it into int. You can say int I equal to this, and you can print the value of I. Now you need not to typecast it, right? Now it's an integer value. You're not typecasting it. So this is one of a benefit of using generics. So there are so many methods. I mean, so many methods inside a list. If you look over here, like you can check the size, you can check whether a list contain a particular value, remove the values, add the values, get the values, right? You can check whether the list is empty or not, right? The n number of methods available inside a list, which you can work with. So this is all about a list. In the next example, we're gonna look at set, basically set and hash set, right?